Have you ever felt invisible in your own home? Like you're just there, but nobody really sees you anymore. That's how my story begins. And what happened next changed my life forever. But before I tell you everything, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications for heartfelt tales unfold. Because what I'm about to share will shake you to your core 6 months ago. Something happened that I can't forget. It plays in my mind like a movie on repeat. The fan was spinning above me. Sunlight came through the window in long stripes. The house felt so still, like it was waiting for something. I thought I was by myself. But IWSN single quotes D. My stepson saw me. Not just a quick look. He really, truly saw me. And nothing has been the same since that day. I didn't hear him walk up. Just the sound of the door moving. Then complete silence. His eyes met mine. They were big and surprised. But there was something else there too. Something I still can't explain. He didn't speak. I couldn't move. That moment feels like it's stuck inside me now. Every single day, every night when I try to sleep, I think about it. I keep asking myself the same question. Did I forget to close the door? Or did part of me want someone to notice me? That question scares me. Because once someone sees you like that, you can't go back to how things were before. If you want to hear what happened next, make sure to subscribe to Heartfelt Tales Unfold. Because some stories change everything. Let me tell you about my husband David. When we first got married, things were good. Really good. He used to look at me like I was special. Like I mattered. But slowly, things changed. The love turned into nothing. Like smoke disappearing into air. Now we're just two people who share a house. We don't share a life anymore. He works all the time. He travels a lot. Even when he's home, his mind is somewhere else. He listens when I talk, but I can tell he's not really hearing me. His words sound fake, like he's reading lines from a script. Then there's Jake. That's David's son. My stepson. He was only 13 when I first met him. I remember how quiet he was. How he held his backpack close to his chest like it protected him. His mom had just died from cancer. It happened fast. Even back then, his eyes looked sad. Like he had seen too much pain for such a young kid. Now he's 18. He's taller than his dad. His voice is deep. He's still quiet. Still keeps to himself. But lately something feels different about him. I can't quite figure out what it is. He's always been polite. Always respectful. But sometimes when we talk, his eyes stay on me a little too long. It's not obvious. It's soft and kind of sad. But also curious. One morning I was pouring coffee. I had just gotten dressed. Nothing fancy, just regular jeans and a shirt. Jake walked into the kitchen and stopped. He looked at me for a few seconds longer than normal. He smiled. Then I noticed something strange. My perfume. I could smell it near him. Not on him exactly, but around him. Like he had been close to my things. I told myself it didn't mean anything. Maybe he had walked past where I keep my perfume bottle. Maybe I was imagining things. But once you notice something, you start seeing it everywhere. He started helping me more around the house. In the garden. With chores. He would look up from his phone whenever I walked into a room. He laughed at my jokes, even the ones that weren't funny. It wasn't flirting. Not exactly. It was softer than that. More confusing. And I didn't stop it. Maybe I should have. But when someone looks at you like you're important, like you actually matter, after months and years of feeling invisible, it does something to you. It wakes up feelings you forgot you had. Our house is always quiet. Too quiet. Dinner is usually 3 plates on the table, but only 2 people sitting there. David is always working. Always on his phone. Always just finishing one more thing. Jake and I eat together most nights now. We talk about small stuff. School, movies, the weather. But underneath our words, there's this feeling. Not loud, not scary. Just there. Always there. Like a soft buzzing sound you can't ignore. Sometimes we run out of things to say. We just sit in silence. But even then I feel it. His eyes on me. Not staring. Just glancing. But I feel it every time. And the terrible part. Part of me likes it when he looks. I haven't told anyone that. Not a single person. But I feel it in my chest. In my stomach. The way my breath changes when he walks into the room. I tell myself I'm just lonely. That this happens when you go too long without being noticed. Without being touched. Without being wanted. But then I ask myself, why him? Why Jake? And I don't have a good answer. All I know is this. Something changed the day he saw me. Something broke open inside me. And I haven't been able to fix it. It was raining hard that day. The kind of heavy rain that makes everything feel small and closed in. The rain covered all the other sounds outside. David was gone again. Some work trip. He barely said goodbye that morning. Just a quick kiss on my cheek, and then he was out the door. I didn't think anyone else was home. Jake usually goes out with friends on Saturdays. Or he stays in his room with headphones on. The house felt empty. I felt empty too. I had done laundry. Cleaned the kitchen. Poured a glass of wine even though it was still afternoon. Then I just stood there watching the rain slide down the window. The feeling inside me wasn't sharp pain. It was dull. A slow, creeping emptiness. Like something was missing and had been missing for a very long time. I went upstairs. I closed the bedroom door. Or I thought I did. I remember hearing it click. But maybe it didn't close all the way. Maybe I was careless. Or maybe I wanted to believe I was alone so badly that I ignored what I knew deep down. I sat on the edge of the bed for a long time. Just breathing. Just staring. My hands moved without thinking. My mind wandered far away. I didn't light candles. I didn't play music. This wasn't some big fantasy. It was quiet and raw. I let my hands touch my own skin like they hadn't in years. Not because I felt excited, but because I needed to remember that I could still feel. That I hadn't completely disappeared. For a few short moments I let go. I imagined something warmer. Eyes that really saw me. Hands that didn't rush. A person who didn't make me feel forgotten. And then I felt it. A real presence. Not imagined. Real. I turned my head slowly. My breath stopped. And there he was. Jake. Standing frozen in the doorway. He didn't move away. Didn't look away. And I didn't cover myself fast enough. I was too shocked. Too frozen in place. It felt like a whole lifetime passed in those 3 seconds. His eyes were wide, but not disgusted. Not angry. They held something else. Something I still don't understand. I sat up. My heart pounded so loud I could hear it in my ears. My mouth went dry. My throat felt tight. But before I could say anything, he turned and walked away. Not fast. Not running. Just turned and left. No slamming door. No loud footsteps. Just that thick silence again. Like the storm outside had come inside our house. I stayed frozen. My hands still. My breath shallow. My mind racing. I tried to tell myself I imagined it. That it didn't happen. That maybe the door was closed. And this was just a bad daydream. But it did happen. He saw me. He watched me. Then he walked away. No sorry. No words at all. But I saw it in his face. The way he breathed. The way his fingers curled. The way he stopped for just a second before leaving. That moment wasn't an accident. And the silence after was louder than any scream. I didn't sleep that night. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw his face in the doorway. watching. My skin burned with shame. But under the shame was something else. Something I wasn't ready to name. Something that sat in my chest like a secret. The next morning, I woke up early, made coffee, sat at the kitchen table trying to act normal. But nothing was normal. I couldn't stop thinking about it. About him. Did I forget to lock the door? Or did I leave it open on purpose? That question followed me everywhere. I wanted to believe it was a mistake. An honest accident. But the truth is, I hadn't checked the lock. I hadn't even thought about it. And the more I thought about that, the more it bothered me. I avoided him for days. Every time I heard his footsteps, I'd go to another room. I couldn't look at him without my heart racing, without my stomach twisting. But Jake didn't avoid me. Actually, he started being around more, sitting in the kitchen while I cooked, asking if I needed help with laundry. Small things. Nothing wrong on the surface, but enough to keep me nervous. And that look in his eyes hadn't gone away. It was soft, but it was there. There were moments, quick moments you could miss, where I caught him watching me. Not like before, not like the doorway, but closely, carefully, like he was trying to read my face. I told myself he was just young and confused. Maybe he didn't understand what he saw. Maybe it was all a big misunderstanding. But I was lying to myself, because late at night, when David was asleep next to me with his back turned like always, my thoughts went to Jake. Not just the memory of that moment, but the feeling it gave me. I started dreaming about him. Not every night, but a lot. I'd wake up breathing hard, my face hot, my whole body tense. Dreams where his hands touched mine. Dreams where the silence between us broke open into something we both understood without words. I hated myself for it, but I didn't stop it. I'd lie awake staring at the ceiling, torn between guilt and wanting, between the life I had and the fantasy that kept creeping into my mind. I started wearing different clothes around the house. Not anything crazy, just softer shirts, a dress with thin straps, one more button undone than needed. I told myself it was for me, that I wanted to feel pretty again, that it had nothing to do with him, but I knew. I knew the way I stayed in the kitchen longer when he came in, the way I laughed easier at his jokes, the way I waited and hoped our paths would cross. I hated that I noticed how much he had grown, how his voice had changed, how his jaw looked sharper now, how his presence filled a room. I was supposed to be the adult, the parent, the safe one, but nothing felt safe anymore. My body was telling me one thing. My mind was saying another. I kept telling myself that nothing had happened, that I'd done nothing wrong, but that wasn't true. Something had happened. Something real. Something I couldn't undo. And the more I tried to ignore it, the louder it got inside my head. This wasn't just about being seen. It was about being wanted. And I hadn't felt wanted in so long. I'd forgotten how powerful that feeling was. How dangerous. It started with little things. He helped more around the house. Washing dishes. Setting the table. Cutting vegetables next to me in the kitchen. But something was different now. The way he stood. A little closer than before. Not obvious. Not wrong. Just close. Too close. I could feel the warmth of him next to me. Could hear his breath catch when our arms touched by accident. Or maybe it wasn't an accident. Maybe nothing was anymore. One evening I reached across him for the salt. Our hands touched. Just barely. Skin on skin. But it felt like time stopped. We both froze. Not speaking. Not breathing. Just staring at each other. I should have laughed. Should have stepped away. Created space. But I didn't. I looked at him. And he looked back. Not like a kid. Not like a son. But like a man. Waiting. We said nothing. But in that silence, something passed between us. Something that shook me. Later that week, I was picking up laundry. I went into his room for just a minute. I wasn't snooping. I was just grabbing his dirty clothes like I'd done 100 times before. But something caught my eye. His drawing notebook. It was open on his desk. I don't know why I looked. Maybe I already knew. But there I was, staring down at a pencil drawing. Of me. It wasn't messy or childish. It was beautiful. Detailed. My face looking thoughtful. Hair tucked behind one ear. The way I look when I'm reading and forget the world exists. He had drawn me. Not as a mother. Not as a stepmother. But as a woman. My stomach twisted. When he came home that evening, I asked him about it. I tried to keep my voice calm. Asked him why he drew it. He didn't lie. He didn't look ashamed. He looked scared. But not because I found it. Because of what it meant. I didn't mean anything bad, he said quickly. His voice shook. I was just drawing. That's all. But I saw the red in his cheeks. The way he wouldn't look at me. The way his hands made fists. He left the room before I could say more. And I stood there holding that notebook like it might burn me. That night, I couldn't sleep again. I lay in the dark. Eyes open, heart pounding, mind racing. Every part of me felt raw and alive. Then came a soft knock on my door. I knew it was him. I don't know why I opened the door. Maybe to tell him to stop. Maybe to ask why. Maybe just to see his face and know this was real. He stepped inside. He didn't come close. He stood by the door. Hands in his pockets. Eyes on the floor. I'm sorry, he said quietly. I shouldn't have drawn you. I shouldn't have. He stopped. I waited. Then he looked at me. And what he said next, I'll never forget. I didn't mean to. But I can't forget what I saw. His voice was barely a whisper. Like it hurt to say it out loud. I couldn't breathe. I wanted to yell. I wanted to run. I wanted to cry and tell him to leave and forget everything. But I didn't. I just stood there in my nightgown in the quiet, looking at someone who had seen me more clearly than anyone had in years. And I didn't move. Not toward him. Not away. Just stayed. Because something inside me had already crossed a line. Even if nothing had happened yet, something had changed. And deep down, I knew this wasn't the end. It was just the beginning. The rain came down hard that evening, hitting the windows like it wanted to come inside. Like it knew something was about to happen. David was gone again. Another flight. Another trip. I didn't ask where. I didn't care anymore. I just nodded and watched the door close. I stayed downstairs. The house was quiet but not peaceful. It felt like the air was holding its breath. I stood at the kitchen sink, staring at nothing, hands around a warm cup I wasn't drinking. Then I heard him. Jake. I didn't turn around at first. I knew it was him. I knew the sound of his footsteps. He walked into the room and stopped. I could feel him behind me. Silence. Then, softly he said, I think I should move out. My heart dropped. Just like that. No warning. Just those words. I turned around and looked at him. His eyes were serious. Tired. Heavy with things he hadn't said. I can't stay here, he whispered. It's not right. I stepped forward without thinking. Please don't, I said. My voice shook. Don't leave. He looked at me like he didn't understand. Or maybe he did. And that's what scared him. We stood there. Barely any space between us. The storm outside growing louder. Like it was echoing what was happening inside me. Then I did something I didn't plan. I reached for him. I touched his arm gently. And he stepped into me. We hugged. But it wasn't just a hug. It was something more. It lasted too long. Our bodies fit too easily. My face pressed against his chest. I could feel his heart racing. I knew I should pull away. I knew it. But I didn't. And when I finally tried to step back, he didn't let go. His hands stayed on my waist. Mine stayed on his chest, or our faces were suddenly just inches apart. He looked at me. I looked at him. Neither of us moved. Because in that moment, the line we weren't supposed to cross had already disappeared. Maybe we kissed. Soft and quick. Maybe it was more. I'm not going to say. Not because I'm protecting anyone, but because I'm not sure I can explain it. All I know is what I felt. And what I felt was a live dot in that moment. Nothing else mattered. Not guilt. Not marriage. Not right or wrong. Just warmth, silence, and a dot we didn't speak after. We didn't need to. He left the kitchen without a word. And I stayed there in the dark. Heart pounding. Skin tingling. Mind a mess. Something had happened. Something real. And there was no undoing it after that night. The silence came back. But it was different now. Thicker. Sharper. Like glass. You could see through but couldn't touch Jake. And I stopped talking. We didn't have to say it. We both knew we'd crossed something we couldn't uncross. He started avoiding me. Didn't come to the kitchen when I cooked. Didn't sit at the table for dinner. Some nights he skipped eating completely. I'd hear his bedroom door close. Quiet and final, and me? I became like a ghost in my own house. I moved through rooms like I was underwater. Slower. Heavier. Not sure if I was floating or sinking. I forgot to answer my emails. Burnt the toast. Left wet clothes in the washing machine until they smelled bad. My hands were busy, but my mind was somewhere else. David came home a few days later. The moment he walked in, I felt his eyes on me, studying me. Not the way a husband looks at his wife with love, but the way you look at a picture hanging crooked on the wall. He hugged me like always, light and quick, but something in his face stayed. A question he didn't know how to ask. I told him I was tired. Long week. Didn't feel like myself, and that was true. I didn't feel like myself, because I wasn't anymore. One evening, I was folding towels upstairs. I heard David call my name from Jake's room. My heart stopped. I walked in, keeping my face calm, forcing my voice to sound normal. He held up the notebook. That notebook. The one I should have hidden. Should have thrown away. He opened it and showed me the page. My face. Jake's drawing. Every detail familiar. Did Jake draw this? He asked. A little confused but not suspicious yet. My mouth opened before I even thought. No, I said. That's mine. He blinked. You? Yeah, I said. I used to draw. Just felt like trying again. The lie came out smooth. Easy. Too easy. He stared at the page again. Nodded slowly. It's really good, he said. I didn't know you could draw like this. I smiled. Small and hollow. He left the room, still holding the book, flipping through pages. And I stood there, heart hammering, walls closing in. I had looked into my husband's eyes and lied. Just like that. Clean. Straight-faced. No shake in my voice. And that was the moment it hit me. Not what I'd done with Jake. Not what I'd allowed. Not even the fact that I couldn't stop thinking about it. But this. The lie. How easy it was. For the first time, I realized I'd become someone I never wanted to be. The questions that won't stop. Some nights I lie awake staring at the ceiling. And I ask myself the same question over and over. What have I done? And the truth is, I still don't know how to answer. Because yes, I miss that moment with Jake. I hate saying that, but I do. The electricity of it. The way the world fell away. The way for just a second I felt seen. Truly, completely seen. It wasn't just physical. It was deeper. Something I hadn't felt in years. A feeling of being alive in my own skin again. Of being more than a wife. More than someone in the background of someone else's life. But at the same time, I feel sick when I think about it. Not just guilt. Something heavier. A weight that sits in my stomach and won't move. Like I've broken something sacred. Not just my marriage, but my own sense of who I am. The woman I thought I was would have walked away. She would have drawn a clear line. She would have never let that moment happen. Never leaned in. Never stayed. But that woman feels like a stranger now. And what scares me most is I don't know when she left. Sometimes I wonder if my marriage ever really made me happy. Or if I just convinced myself it did because it was easier than being alone. David was safe. He gave me stability. A home. A name. But not warmth. Not presence. Not passion. That faded early, and I pretended not to notice. But I did notice. Every birthday he forgot. Every night he stayed late. Every time I reached out and he turned away in bed without touching me. So when Jake looked at me like I mattered, it broke something open inside me. And once that happened, there was no closing it back up. Jake left the house a few days after David found the drawing. Said he was staying with friends for a while. That he needed space. He didn't say much. Didn't look me in the eye when he packed his bag. I didn't try to stop him. I couldn't. There was too much unsaid between us. Too many stolen glances. Too many half-buried thoughts. Moments that we both wanted to believe didn't mean what they meant. After he left, the house felt even quieter. But not the peaceful kind of quiet. The kind that rings in your ears like punishment. Like it's reminding you of everything you've lost, and everything you never had. David asked if something was wrong. I told him I felt off. That I needed space. Time. Distance from everything. I used soft words. Vague ones. Nothing that would make him suspicious. Just enough to explain why I'd been so distant. He nodded. He always nods. He didn't fight me on it. And that hurt most of all. No anger. No questions. Just acceptance. Like maybe he'd been waiting for me to admit something inside me had changed. And it has. I've changed. But I don't know into what. I keep hoping that time will help. That I'll forget. That Jake will fade back into being just my Stepson. Just a memory I can put away and never think about again. But it's not working. The dreams haven't stopped. And the worst part, I don't think I want them to. If you've ever been stuck between loneliness and longing, if you've ever felt that pain in your chest that nobody notices, if you've ever stood at the edge of a choice that could ruin everything and still wondered what would happen if you took just one step forward, tell me, what did you do? Was it a moment of weakness? A mistake? Or was it something deeper? A truth you buried until it finally came out? I want to hear from you. Honestly. No judgment. Just truth. Share your thoughts in the comments. Please. Because I can't be the only one who's felt this way. And if stories like this speak to you, if you've ever lived in that space between right and wrong, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell so you never miss what comes next. This is Heartfelt Tales Unfold, where the stories nobody dares to speak finally have a voice. Desire doesn't always show up the way you think it will. Sometimes it looks like safety. A smile. A gentle hand on your back. Someone who remembers how you like your coffee. And sometimes it's a fire you never meant to start. Burning in the space where comfort used to be. It doesn't ask if you're ready. It doesn't care if it fits into your life. It just appears. Silent and wild. And dares you to pretend you don't feel it. And when you give in, even for a moment, everything changes. You don't recognize yourself anymore. Your eyes hold too much. Your silence is too loud. And the person looking back at you in the mirror is broken, made of choices you can't take back. That's me now. I'm not telling you this for pity, or to be understood, or to be forgiven. I just wanted someone to know, to hear the truth, not the version I tell at parties, not the one I feed my husband with tired smiles, not the one I wrap in silence to keep the peace. Just the truth. Because even if it makes me the bad person in someone's story, at least now I exist in mine.